KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
How long has it been since you got your knob scobbed, Grayson?
Say what now? Since I got my...
You must not have been listening at the end of last hour.
No, but today is...
It was peak Steely.
Yeah, but today is going to be another episode of me coming in here looking at the text line and being like, what in the hell were y'all talking
Yes,
about?
apparently we discovered this towards the end of the 1 o'clock hour.
Uh-huh.
Back in Steely's day, what it meant to scob someone's knob was what
Lord.
what yours and my generation know as giving someone a noogie.
Really?
So, yeah, rub your knuckles on top of their head.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I'm not going to lie. That is the last thing that I thought that meant.
yes, this is what makes it so much fun every day from 12 to 2 between me and Steely is that there are so many idioms like that mean something completely different to his generation than they do to mine and yours.
I want you, in our first break, do you know the song Plain Jane by A$AP Ferg?
Yes.
Look up the first lyric, the first line of that song in the break, and you will know where my mind went when you asked that question.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, Steely referred to getting his knob scobbed, or perhaps scobbing someone else's knob.
Nope.
And the text line had some fun with it.
Yeah, that was not on my bingo card being asked that question because I was like, Parker, I know you and I are friends. We've been friends for a hot minute now. I did not know we were that close.
Oh, brother. It's December, folks. We have precious little to talk about from a recruiting standpoint because this is kind of where I want to start today, Grayson, for real. The Oklahoma staff and front office right now is focused on the aspect of program construction these days that doesn't get talked about near enough. We talk extensively about recruiting on this show because there's always storylines to follow in the world of recruiting. We talk about the portal, and the Sooners are going to start pursuing portal targets in earnest here within the next couple of weeks. And obviously you have the coaching and development of players that are on your roster, but the thing that doesn't get talked about enough because, well, there's really nothing to talk about if you do it right, is retention.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about this one before you went on the air with Steely, and it looks as if Oklahoma's going to have a pretty quiet how do I put this? A pretty quiet timeline when it comes to departures. And to me, I think this speaks to a culture. Because we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If you build a culture where people want to stay, the transfer portal can be an option. Getting more money elsewhere can be an option. Acting a fool and trying to extort more money out of your current institution can be an option. But when you build a culture where people want to stay, people are going to stay. And I think that's a credit to Venables and the staff. It's a credit to the front office and, in a lesser degree, to the administration and to the university because they have created a place where people want to stay. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, this time of the year, you want quiet. You don't want to be breaking a lot of news unless you acquired somebody. And the fact that Oklahoma
pressure sales environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and of course, here in the holiday season, they can hook you up with a brand new GMC, one of the most reliable trucks and or SUVs on the market, depending on whatever your style may be. However you want to ride, you can do it at Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. If you're in the market for a new ride, this holiday season. 405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to chime in throughout the show. And here's maybe what isn't understood, Grayson. Understood to the extent that it should be by those who are kind of looking from the outside in on everything that it takes to build a championship football program in the year of our Lord 2025. When we're talking about retention, we're not talking about Brent Venables walking each of his players into the office one by one and saying, "You good with your money? All right, next." No, that's not what it looks like, because everybody has an agent these days. And so what it looks like is members of the staff and front office maintaining constant communication, not with the player, but with the player's agent, to confirm that everything is simpatico on their end with regard to the deal as it is laid out. And you may have to ward off other suitors, even if said player isn't in the portal. There's always back-channel communication going on. I think it's pretty well known, pretty well understood that Ohio State, for instance, made a hefty run at Jaden Jackson last winter. And so you have 85 scholarship players, which is soon to be 105. You have a general manager in Jim Nagy and 2 assistant GMs in Taylor Redd and Lake Dawson that came from the NFL world with Nagy. And so they're well-versed in the art of contract negotiations and the flow of communication with agents. And this is really why you brought those guys in.
Yeah.
Because, Grayson, it doesn't matter how well you recruit. It doesn't matter how well you attack the portal if you can't establish continuity on your roster. That's your only hope of building something sustainable. That's your only hope of building a contender year over year over year, is to establish continuity on your roster, and retention is how you do that. And so when Jim Nagy got to town, and 2 of his very first hires were Taylor Redd and Lake Dawson, make no mistake, those guys know ball, and they're going to be able to help out in attacking the portal, and they're going to be able to help out in the recruiting realm as well. But the primary reason you bring those guys in is the work that they're going to be able to help do in the realm of retention.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the big name of the game. Otherwise, you're essentially doing what Texas Tech is trying to do this year, and that's compete for a national championship by assembling a bunch of people from all corners of the country, which is why I credited Joey McGuire for the job that he was doing. But you use the word sustainability. Is that method of building a roster and competing for championships sustainable? My answer at this point in time is I'm not sure it is. But what Oklahoma's doing, I also think this, Parker, because you and I talked about Brent Venables yesterday. There's a Jim Knowles question on the YouTube chat. But we talked about Brent Venables yesterday and how much easier is his job that he can pass the retention stuff off to somebody else. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to be the one that's saying and fielding the general vibe of, is everybody happy with their money? Everybody happy with their playing time and their role and stuff like that? He doesn't got to do all that. He just got to figure out a defensive game plan, corroborate with the offensive staff to figure out how they can play their best brand of complementary football, and he can go do what he does best. That's the best part of having the Jim Nagy regime in tow.
One of the biggest problems that Oklahoma football continually ran into over the first 3 years of the Venables era was that Brent Venables himself was so overextended as a head coach.
Uh-huh.
And the addition of Jim Nagy and the addition of guys like Lake Dawson and Taylor Redd and Charlie Parkinson and Patrick Armstrong and Stacy Ford to the front office was, man, it takes a lot off Brent Venables' plate. And I think what you've seen results-wise in 2025 is the fruit of that. Because when Brent Venables just gets to hone in on being a leader for the 85 scholarship guys in his locker room, plus all the walk-ons, obviously, and focusing in on game planning, the X's and O's, executing, and dialing it up on the defensive side of the ball to combat whatever he's going to have thrown at him by the opposing offensive coordinator and staff, man, that's where Brent Venables excels. Mm-hmm. And he has excelled this year. And let's go back, for instance, to December of 2023. I think it might have been 2 years ago to the day. If not, we're not far off from the actual day. But 2 years ago, Caden Green hit the transfer portal out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Wound up in Missouri. I think we all understand why. I think we all know and understand why Caden Green is going to finish up his collegiate career as a Missouri Tiger. But that situation itself, maybe it still happens, Grayson, but there's a much greater likelihood that that situation does not unfold the way that it did if Oklahoma had the front office in place 2 years ago. Because Brent Venables isn't the one having to navigate all of those monetarily oriented conversations with each of his big-time players in the midst of preparing for a bowl game.
Exactly. I mean, right. Is it a coincidence that as NIL has become more prevalent in picking what team you play for and stay on, that the Nick Sabans of the world, the Jay Wrights of the world, the Mike Krzyzewskis, Roy Williams, and all those guys got out of the coaching business when they did? They're not equipped to handle that. And it would be asinine to ask that of Brent Venables, who is a football coach, to handle stuff like that. That's ridiculous. So in this day and age, Oklahoma was ahead of the curve in getting guys in place that are equipped to deal with that. And yes, Caden Green situation probably unfolds differently. But Oklahoma says, okay, next time a situation like this could potentially arise, we will be adequately equipped to be able to have people in place to soothe all of that. And the football team, I also think this, it is not a coincidence that once you get a front office in place, the football team outperforms expectations. I don't think that's a coincidence either.
We have breaking news, by the way. Bad news and good news. Bad news, Brent Venables is not your SEC Coach of the Year. He has been defeated for that distinction by Clark Lee of Vanderbilt, which, can't hate on it.
I was about to say, can't be mad at that.
Can't hate on it. To win double-digit games at Vanderbilt University, yes, Clark Lee deserves that honor. Brent Venables is also very deserving, but I'm not going to argue with the selection of Clark Lee over Brent Venables for the SEC Coach of the Year honors. However, Oklahoma does have the SEC Special Teams Player of the Year, Grayson Singleton, none other than the indomitable Tate Sandell.
I mean, wasn't that the most obvious choice that there would have been? I mean, you would have had to get the answer wrong to raise a reaction to that. I mean, look, Tate Sandell was incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And how many years has it been that Oklahoma has needed a reliable kicker like him? Hats off to him, man. He had an outstanding campaign.
You can certainly make the argument, and I would, that there has been no player on Oklahoma's roster here in 2025 that has added more wins to Oklahoma's win expectancy
Amen.
Than Tate Sandell.
If Tate Sandell is not on the roster, Oklahoma has 4 losses.
At least?
Yes.
At least, because I don't think you beat Tennessee. I don't think you beat Alabama.
Bingo. Those two come to mind. I mean, you could say he is responsible for the reason he is responsible for them being in the playoffs.
It's going to be quite a week for Tate Sandell. SEC First Team honors yesterday. SEC Special Teams Player of the Year honors today. And by the end of the week, he will be the Lou Groza Award winner.
At least he should
well.
be. Cherokee Sooner says, Venables is robbed by Clark Lee for Coach of the Year. Go get your knob absolutely scobbed, Clark.
Okay. Okay, we're done with the knob scobbing jokes, folks. That they have run their course. They have run their course. I had to pull Grayson's leg with it at the top of the show, but we are moving on. Derek says, and credit to the university as well, for allowing Brent to have these salaries on the books for the front office guys. One thing, I don't know that this has been mentioned, at least not to the extent that it should have been mentioned throughout the season as Oklahoma continued to build on the momentum that they accrued throughout the early stages of conference play and really kicked it into new gear with the Red November run. You remember before the season when it was announced that Brent Venables was given back $1 million of his own salary to assist in Oklahoma's NIL efforts. If that isn't betting on yourself, man, I don't know what it is. That's Brent Venables essentially saying, hey, I understand what it takes to win.
Yeah.
And in order for me to build long-term stability here at Oklahoma, in order for us to build a winner here, in order for me to be the head coach for the long haul here at OU, I need to drop a couple coins in the bucket. And he did that. And he bet on himself to a much greater extent when he made the decision not to hire a defensive coordinator.
Yep.
And to call his own plays. And everything has worked to darn near perfection this year for Oklahoma. This is about the least problematic OU football has been in a long time, Grayson.
What do you mean when you say least problematic? Like what do you mean by that? I mean, because they were in the semifinal under Lincoln Riley a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's been about since then. Since everybody was just kind of content with where Oklahoma football was at. I mean that in every sense, like from staff to boosters to administration, fans, media, the whole 9 yards. Nobody's beefing with Oklahoma football as it currently stands. That's a great place to be. I enjoy it. No controversy. No controversy whatsoever. You remember how problematic everything was at the end of the 2024 season?
Yeah.
OU had just gone 6-6. They were on the way to 6-7 with the loss to Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. So much turnover was already occurring on that roster. So many wondered whether Oklahoma was going to be able to salvage something, anything in 2025 with what they could cobble together in the transfer portal. You just hired a brand new offensive coordinator in Ben Arbuckle, who was 29 years old at the time. The medical staff was under siege. Injuries all over the roster. Oklahoma dealt with worse injury issues than I have ever seen a Power 4 program deal with. And here we are a year later, and it is all quiet on the Western Front. This program is refreshingly devoid of major issues right now. Great place to be, folks. 651-3439 is the text line if you want to chime in throughout the show. We need to hit a quick break, hear from our fine sponsors that make it all possible here at the Ref. So a quick word from those folks right here. And on the other side, more of your texts, more OU football and Cruton talk, because that's what we do around here. This is Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton. We'll be back on the Ref.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Where do Oklahoma sports fans go to watch the big game? Gridiron Sports Bar at River Spirit Casino Resort in Tulsa. With multiple viewing screens and a huge LED wall, you'll never miss a play. Enjoy bar-top gaming, Top Golf swing suites, delicious game day food and drinks, and a VIP lounge for top-tier players. Gridiron Sports Bar takes sports fans to another viewing level. Gridiron Sports Bar, Tulsa's fan favorite.
Purple Wave Auction remains the trusted leader in online equipment auctions. What makes the difference is you. You are part of our growing global community that continues to trust Purple Wave with the equipment that builds and feeds America. This trust placed in us by our community, from construction to ag producers and fleet drivers, brings great equipment opportunities to their next owners. Join the Purple Wave community today. purplewave.com.
Speed can't be taught. You got it or you don't. Rose Hill Builders has it. Their game plan is efficient, and they do not cut corners for quality. Trust old coach here. Call Rose Hill Builders to get your approval process started today. Rose Hill Builders, the team you want on your side.
Hey, Ref Army, are you thinking about Christmas gifts and bowl game gear? The Ref store is open. Get the latest and greatest Ref designs like Hard to Kill and Alabama State Champs. T-shirts and sweatshirts are available, plus 2 new Ref hats, Ref Army shirts, and several softball designs like Softball is Life. Go to kref.com, select the Ref store, and order today.
Gear up this holiday season with the home of Sooner fans at kref.com.
Hi Sooner fans, this is Caitlin Smith.
And Hurley Snow with the reigning 7-time national championship OU women's gymnastics team.
The start of our season is right around the corner, and what better gift than to gift an experience for every single home meet this season. Season tickets are on sale beginning with our first home meet January 23rd.
Another awesome gift idea as we head into the holidays is to gift a Team 10 Booster Club membership, which directly supports our team. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
And as always,
Boomer Sooner!
The deals are merry, bright, and made for Oklahoma at Cavender Ford of OKC. We're unwrapping an incredible offer where you can save $10,000 on a new 2025 Ford Super Duty. It's the kind of deal that will make the holidays shine. Schedule your test drive before this offer expires on January 5th, 2026. Visit us today at 7320 Northwest Expressway or start your shopping online at CavenderFordOKC.com. Cavender Ford of Oklahoma City, where confidence is Cavender.
Hi, this is Nettie from The Local, Norman's newest restaurant, and we invite you to come check it out. The Local features delicious Okie cuisine like the famous local salad, mouth-watering bone-in pork chops, or the Okie burger, plus fantastic drink specials throughout the week. You can also enjoy brunch on Sundays starting at 10 a.m. Happy hour all day on college football Saturdays, you can't beat that. We have 3 locations in the metro: Yukon, Mustang, and the newest one in Norman at 110 West Main Street. Or visit thelocalrestaurant.com.
Holiday season is right around the corner, and you know what that means. Holiday parties. From small events to big buyouts, Heyday Entertainment has the perfect party package for you. Book a bowling party or a play party at Heyday Norman, or shake things up with a pickleball bash at Hey Pickle Pickle, right off of I-35 and Indian Hills Road. Skip the stress and slay the holidays when you party with Heyday. Call 405-310-3500 to book your event today or visit heydayfun.com. Heyday, where you choose your fun.
Speed can't be taught. You got it or you don't. Rose Hill Builders has it. Their game plan is efficient, and they do not cut corners for quality. Trust old coach here. Call Rose Hill Builders to get your approval process started today. Rose Hill Builders, the team you want on your side.
I didn't realize how badly I needed Phillip Rivers back in my life, Grayson. Old Marmalade, he's back. There's a good chance he's going to start for the Indianapolis Colts this weekend at age 44, and it is amazing. He had a press conference earlier this morning. There are clips that are surfacing all over the interwebs of him throwing the ball at practice. He does not look half bad either. I mean, he doesn't look 44, I'll tell you that much. He's slinging it a heck of a lot better at 44 than, for instance, Peyton Manning was at, 39?
Nah, Peyton was in his 40s.
He was?
Was he not?
I thought he
was.
retired
He
at
was
39.
39.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that last season, man, the Broncos just had, and I know you remember this as a Broncos fan, they just had one of the best defenses I've seen in my lifetime at the NFL level.
Were they not the NFL version of this year's Oklahoma?
Pretty much.
Maybe
yes,
the offense was a little bit better, but
Peyton Manning could not throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield. Fortunately, John Mateer can. He just doesn't all that frequently. But, man, Phillip Rivers, my childhood isn't over yet. Phillip Rivers is still slinging the rock in 2025.
I just saw a tweet in the break that Phillip Rivers has one less kid than Anthony Richardson has touchdowns in the NFL.
Holy smokes. And it's crazy to think the only reason Phillip Rivers is in position to potentially start for the Indianapolis Colts is because Anthony Richardson fractured his orbital bone in his face with a resistance band. Which just kind of sums up the Anthony Richardson experience.
Doesn't it?
You know?
Doesn't it?
That's just that's been very par for the course for Anthony Richardson thus far at the NFL level.
I will say, Shane Steichen's offense is very RPO heavy with the Colts. I know you don't watch a whole heck of a lot of NFL football outside of Baker, but Phillip Rivers in an RPO-based offense is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I would guess he's going to be turning around and handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor.
Which, good for me, because I've got him in my fantasy league, and we're in playoffs this week.
I also have Jonathan Taylor in my fantasy league, and I added Phillip Rivers this morning just for the memes.
Did you really?
Yeah. I have a team that's on a collision course with the championship right now. And you know what? I wanted Phillip Rivers to have the opportunity to say he was part of a championship team before he hung it up. So I'm doing him that favor. Hey, breaking news from the college football world that is relevant to Oklahoma in a tangential sense. Jim Knowles is going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. News broke about 10 minutes ago per the usual crew. All the national reporters, Matt Zenitz, Pete Thamel, Pete Nakos, etc. He is leaving Penn State, will not be retained by Matt Campbell, and is going to replace the departed Tim Banks as the DC for the Volunteers. So the man that was this close, Grayson, this close to being Oklahoma's defensive coordinator about 11 months ago, is now going to see the Sooners in the SEC for the foreseeable future. I guess Oklahoma won't play Tennessee in 2026.
No.
But there you go, another very well qualified, very distinguished defensive mind joining the ranks in the SEC as a DC.
Tennessee got better. Tennessee got a hell of a lot better with that hire, I think. Josh Heupel, head coach, offensive mind, pretty good offensive mind. An elite defensive mind. Tennessee got real scary.
Bob from Cement on the text line says, Rivers had to get a paycheck. The liberal California high taxes have been killing him. I thought, hasn't Phillip Rivers been living in Alabama?
Yeah.
He's from Alabama, I do believe, and I'm fact-checking this as we speak. Yeah, he's been living and coaching in Alabama since he retired in 2021. So... But yes, Phillip Rivers is likely going to start this weekend for the Indianapolis Colts. And Grayson, I grew up on the holy trinity of sports video games, Madden 2005, NBA Live 2005, and MVP Baseball 2005. Ever since Miguel Cabrera retired in 2023, the only remaining active athlete who appears in any of those three games has been LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
But now Phillip Rivers has rejoined the squad.
I wonder if they throw him back into Madden.
They have to, right?
I'll
of course,
check,
these
I'll
days,
check that tonight or tomorrow night when I hop on Madden.
These days they do Madden roster updates like every other week, don't
right,
they?
Yeah, for the most part.
Come on, give me a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers in Madden 26. Need it.
Flea in Menifee says Rivers back in the league is a recession indicator.
No, I think as we talked about yesterday, it's an indicator of bad quarterback development across the board at the high school and professional levels in recent years, such that the Indianapolis Colts are comfortable handing the reins of their offense to a 44-year-old gunslinger. Very old-school style of signal caller, rather than one of the many young whippersnappers that has come up in the RPO system. Now, we start off the show, Grayson, as we pivot here, start off talking about retention, which is what Oklahoma's staff and front office is actively engaged in right now, is all of their retention efforts, making sure they get contracts ironed out heading into 2026, making sure all their bases are covered in that regard, and all the guys that they consider to be part of the nucleus for OU football are sticking around next season. When you look at this roster, if you had to pick, let's call it three guys, who are the three guys that would be priority A1, A2, and A3 for you as far as retention is concerned? Who are the three guys where you're figuring out their contracts with their agents before you touch anybody else's contracts?
The left tackle, Michael Fasusi,
love it,
is number one. Hands down number one. David Stone, the best defensive tackle on this team, is number two. This one might surprise some people. I'm going to make sure nobody has a credible word to say to Cortland Guillory.
Yeah, but bingo. Bingo.
That
is the correct answer.
I don't want Ohio State talking to that dude. I don't want Texas Tech will pay up for anybody. I don't want Texas Tech talking to that dude. I don't want LSU talking to that dude with how good their defensive coordinator is. I want to make sure Cortland Guillory is locked up and away from everybody. But you're talking about Michael Fasusi, true freshman. He's going to be the anchor of your offensive line for the next 2 years, foreseeably. David Stone is going to be a day one, early day two draft pick in the NFL, and he's really the building block of your defense going forward. And then Cortland Guillory might be the best corner in the country by the time it's all said and done. Those are the three that I'm saying, nope, we're going to make sure we get this done. There is going to be no gray area, and we are going to reward you handsomely. And you know what? Those 3 dudes, I don't mind if you overpay for them either. I think they are that good and that integral to Oklahoma going forward.
And schools are going to be poking around with David Stone and Michael Fasusi and Cortland Guillory.
Absolutely.
All 3. So I love all 3 of those answers from you. Well done.
Who would you say?
There was somebody on the text line that said Taylor Wine, and that's a good nomination, but there's probably an understanding, I would imagine, across the college football landscape in general that Taylor Wine's not leaving Oklahoma. You're not prying that guy away from Miguel Chavis. That dude and Miguel Chavis are football kindred spirits in many ways. And so you don't really have to worry about a guy like Taylor Wine walking. Much the same way you don't have to really worry about a guy like John Mateer walking. Because he has so many reasons to be here that unless you tell him we're not going to pay you at all, the overwhelming likelihood is that he's going to be sticking around for 2026 anyway. But Michael Fasusi's a former 5-star who's seen a ton of playing time and has been Oklahoma's primary starter at left tackle throughout the season. Cortland Guillory, same thing, right? Going to be in all of those freshman All-American conversations. And then David Stone, after his flirtation with the transfer portal in April, which, as we know, was more due to the people around him than it was to David Stone's own desire to leave Oklahoma, which he does not want to do. But, if he was willing to get in the portal once, there will be schools willing to, at the very least, inquire as to whether he would test the portal waters at minimum. So, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. I think those are the first 3 contracts that you finalize. Not far behind those dudes, in my mind, are Jaden Jackson, obviously.
Yes.
Similar building block to David Stone.
Yes, he would be number 4 for me.
And in kind of the same vein as Fasusi, got to get things figured out with Ryan Foje and Eddie Pierre-Louis. The young offensive linemen that are going to be key in the offensive trenches for years to come. And then it's kind of nice you don't really have to worry about the Bowen brothers either, right? Because they're brothers. They love OU. They're not going anywhere. If they were to go anywhere, they would go somewhere together.
Okay. I have a question for you, Parker.
Okay.
Isn't it wild that we've gotten this deep into the conversation? We've listed out so many names, and there are 2 positions, I think, that we have not talked about. Quarterback and wide receiver.
And running back as well.
And really, and running back too. Running back is a little bit more integral in college than it is the NFL. It's kind of wild, isn't it? That we've said, here's who you got to get locked up. All these positions, and we haven't named quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and this team's in the playoff. It's a wild set of circumstances, isn't it?
Yep, and I think with that, there's a recognizance that John Mateer, as your starting quarterback, hasn't set the world on fire with his level of play throughout the season. Your wide receivers, your starting wide receivers, the 2 guys that have been the most productive at that position in Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania, one's graduating, one's more than likely, I would say, going to the NFL. Like, I'm leaning that direction.
Is that where you're leaning now?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning with Satania. We'll see. And then in the backfield, man, it's just kind of been a case of whoever's healthy is going. And for a while, that was Torrey Blaylock, and then it was Xavier Robinson, and then things kind of balanced out throughout the month of November to where you kind of have your clear duo, if you will, your backfield tandem in Robinson and Blaylock, and everybody else has just kind of settled down lower on the depth chart beneath those 2. But yeah, I think this is kind of what you imagined a Brent Venables program was going to look like in its, maybe not its ideal form, because ideally you would love to have a quarterback that's a stud, and you would love to have a couple 1,000-yard type wide receivers, a 1,000-yard back, and maybe a 600-yard handcuff behind him. But for being in year 4 of the Brent Venables era, this is kind of about how you drew it up, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Interesting question on the YouTube chat. Terry asks, are these guys all on yearly contracts, or do they ever sign multi-year? contracts.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, they're all one-year deals. I mean, there may be deals that are stipulated to cover multiple seasons, but as we learned with a situation like Damon Wilson last week, you're renegotiating every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Every single year, sometimes multiple times over the course of the year, because it's really, really hard to enforce certain things, even if they're in writing, even if they're contractually stipulated. Big Rick and Owasso on the text line at 405-651-3439 with a very interesting question. You might have already addressed this. Any OU interest in Talon Shetron? Now, there's a name.
Oklahoma State. Huh.
Yes. He's going to be in the train. I don't know if he's already in the portal or going to be in the portal.
He will be, yes.
There's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Was Oklahoma heavily involved in his recruitment when he came out of Edmond Santa Fe?
He was committed to Oklahoma for quite a while.
Oh, well, that answers that question.
The reason he flipped to Oklahoma State was because Oklahoma State was willing to offer a scholarship to his brother, Tabry. Yes. So Oklahoma State would take them both. Oklahoma would have taken Tabry as a walk-on, but not as a scholarship player. So he flipped from OU to Oklahoma State. Is there going to be any OU interest in Talon Shetron? I can almost assure you there will not be. And look, again, everybody in that building is primarily focused on retention right now, and they will start pouring the majority of their efforts into the portal, hopefully in the next week or two. But Talon Shetron is not the type of guy that Oklahoma and this front office is going to be inclined to pursue because you have a lengthy injury history.
Very.
And precious little production, which is unfortunate, man, because I was sold on that kid out of high school.
As was a lot of people in Stillwater.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like watching that dude at Edmond Santa Fe, he was one of the most dangerous skill position players I have ever watched in the state of Oklahoma. Every time he touched the football, he could take it the distance. And he got to Oklahoma State, and it just hasn't worked. And it hasn't really been his fault because what can he do about injuries? Man, it's kind of the same situation as a guy that was right there neck and neck with him for the longest time in that 2022 class. They were going back and forth as the number one and number two players in the state, and that was Gentry Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was Gentry Williams on the east side, Talon Shetron on the west side. Those were the premier prospects pretty early on in the process. And you had Jacob Sexton that was in that conversation as well, but probably half a step beneath those guys. And then Robert Spears Jennings was a real late riser. But in the class of 2022, in the state of Oklahoma, it was Gentry Williams on the east side, Talon Shetron on the west side. And both of those guys, unfortunately, have seen their collegiate careers beset by injury and circumstances beyond their control. 405-651-3439 is the text line. We have one segment to go here on Locked In before we turn it over to Tyler and Ted at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Or wait. Let me correct myself. It's Tyler and Travis today. It is Wednesday. I make this mistake almost every Wednesday.
Hey, at least you caught yourself this time.
I'm not making it today. It will be Tyler and Travis today on The Rush. But we got one segment to go with all y'all, and we'll tackle it next. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it here.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Imagine stepping into your backyard and finding the oasis you've always dreamed of. With Signature Custom Pools, dreams really do come true. Our expert team is dedicated to designing and building the perfect pool for your family, where every detail reflects our signature touch and commitment to quality. Ready to transform your backyard? Call us today for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit SignatureCustomPools.com. Signature Custom Pools, where professionalism meets artistry and every project is built to the highest standards. Make your dream a reality with the Signature Touch.
No one plans for an injury, but when the worst happens, count on the best orthopedic team to turn your setbacks into comebacks. Ortho Central's comprehensive care has you covered, from expert orthopedic surgery and sports medicine to in-house imaging, physical therapy, and even a bone health clinic. So whether it's a fracture, a tear, or just life catching up with you, we're here to get you moving again. Ortho Central, it's in our bones to take care of yours. Learn more at orthocentralok.com.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Hey Oklahoma, Colton Thompson here at Norman Hyundai. The holidays are right around the corner and we know you've got places to be. Grandma's house, holiday shopping, and maybe even a little road trip. So we've got great deals on the full Hyundai lineup to make your season just a little brighter. Deals like 2.9% on the all-new Palisade or even 0% on the Hyundai Santa Fe and Tucson. Plus, with America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles, you'll drive away with confidence knowing we've got your back. NormanHyundai.com.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit OKCCrash.com.
In the midst of this exciting football season and return of big league hoops, don't forget, it's health insurance season. November 1st through December 15th is the only time to renew or change your individual health insurance for 2026 without a qualifying event. Due to federal changes, it's more important than ever. Allison Insurance has guided thousands of Oklahomans toward the right health insurance policy. Call Allison Insurance at 745-2968 or 800-580-5587. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton wrapping up Locked In here with you on a Wednesday. The Rush is coming up, as always, the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Tyler and Travis going to have you for 3 more hours the rest of the way today. On the text line at 405-651-3439, Sooner 287 asked, is there any movement between OU and Odafe Aruru? Heck of a name. Blue chip offensive tackle up at, he's Jenks, right? He's at Jenks?
That sounds about right, yes.
It's either Jenks or Owasso. I believe it's Jenks. I should know this off the dome, and I don't. But honestly, I haven't paid a ton of attention to that kid's recruitment as of late because...
Yes, it is Jenks.
Okay, Jenks, there you go. There isn't really any movement there. And Oklahoma right now, when you look at their 2027 class, which is Aruru's class, they have 2 offensive tackles committed in Cooper Hackett and Luke Wilson. They have a standout guard committed in Caden Penny. And they have communicated to one blue chip target that they would like him to be the final piece of the puzzle, thereby indicating that they're only taking 4 offensive linemen in 2027. And that prospect in question, as members at OUinsider.com have known for a while, shameless plug there, is Gus Corsair out of Hays, Kansas. 4-star interior offensive lineman, 6'3", about 290 pounds. Really, really talented prospect that's been a starter at Hays High School, Jaron Canick's alma mater, since his true freshman season. I guess there's not really a distinction between it.
No.
There's no red shirts at the high school level. But since his freshman year at Hayes, Corsair's been a mainstay for the Indians. He is the number 1 prospect in the state of Kansas. He is very high on Oklahoma. Came down for a couple of game days during the season, was most recently down for the LSU game just over a week and a half ago. I think it was LSU. It was either Missouri or LSU. Early decision. I don't know whether that's going to be an immediate decision, but that is certainly one name that you should know right now if you're tracking future developments in the 2027 class for Oklahoma, because there is a high likelihood that Corsair is a member of Oklahoma's class within the next, I would say, 2 or 3 months.
You can never have too many tackles, especially quality tackles. You just never can.
He's going to be a guard.
Offensive lineman, period, really.
Yeah. Actually, he is a guard at the high school level. Oklahoma has told him, we want you to play center. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you got 2 tackles. You got a guard in Caden Penny, and they're looking for a center. Biedenbow tries to take a center every cycle, or at least a guy who will have the ability to play center. So last cycle, it was Owen Hollenbeck. This cycle, it was Noah Best. In the 2027 cycle, they would like that guy to be Gus Corsair.
Versatility, numbers. It's a good plan.
Well, as Jim Nagy said in his press conference on signing day last week, they want guys that can play multiple positions. They don't want guys who are kind of pigeonholed into one spot. And so I think you see that in the offensive line that they've tried to cultivate, the offensive line group that they've tried to cultivate both amongst the starters and the reserves right now. Ryan Foje is a phenomenal example of a guy that can play guard, can play tackle, has played guard, has played tackle as a true freshman at Oklahoma. Deacon Schmidt in the 2026 class, the other of Oklahoma's 2 offensive line signees, alongside Noah Best. He can play any of the 5 positions on the offensive line, and Best can play any of those 3 interior slots. Hackett's a tackle and always going to be a tackle, but in Penny and Wilson, I think Wilson settles at right tackle in the long run, and I think Penny settles at guard. But likewise, those are 2 dudes that can play multiple positions on the line. And the same goes for Corsair, even though he is strictly an interior.
Especially because Penny is Bixby's left tackle. Like, he's been playing tackle in high school. So, yeah, he certainly can have that versatility on the offensive line. A texter in the 405 with a really good question. Would OU take both Titus Hawk and Ben Kolar at tight end? If not, which one would you pick to be the one?
Yes, they would absolutely take both Titus Hawk and Ben Kolar.
You would have to take both.
No question. They would take both. They love both, especially because they complement each other so nicely.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Like Hawk is the only tight end prospect I have ever seen that has shown up on a visit at OU and been standing eye to eye with Joe John Finley. Because Joe John Finley, if you've ever seen him in person, folks, is an enormous human being as far as height is concerned. He was listed at 6'6" in his playing days. That might be on the conservative side.
Yeah, no, Titus Hawk is a legit 6'7".
Uh-huh. And so he can look Joe John Finley straight in the eye, which is a feat for anybody. And he's a little bit underdeveloped. You're going to have to pack weight on him, no doubt. But then in contrast to that, you have a guy in Ben Kolar who's like 6'2", but just a really good football player, man.
He
like, he is a football player and kind of the guy that's well-suited for – and I don't know that we're ever going to arrive at true positionless football, but much the same way they talk about positionless basketball these days, there are certain offensive skill position players who are, in essence, positionless. Tavon Austin is kind of the quintessential example. Just line him up, he's going to be a mismatch against whoever he's matched up against, no matter where you put him on the field. Ben Kolar, in a different sense, kind of has that same quality. You can line him up at H-back. You can line him up as an inline tight end. You can line him up out wide or in the slot, and he's just going to create problems for the opposition because he is a supreme athlete at 6'2", 230 pounds probably.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I lean Kolar. If Oklahoma can get both, though, you absolutely get both.
You lean Kolar, Because he's a more polished football player.
Yes. In years, I think in the past, the 2022 version of me, for instance, 3 years ago, I probably would have favored the athletic specimen that is Titus Hawk. But I've developed an appreciation over the years for guys that are just football players.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Kolar is a football player.
Athletic specimens are a coin flip as to whether or not they turn into really good football players at the next level. So that from that perspective, I always lean, if I have to choose one or the other, give me the polished football player that, by the way, is still a really good athlete.
Yep. Mojo Bo points out Titus's dad is a big dude, so he will fill out. Have you ever seen his dad, Grayson? Shane?
No, I've seen Titus, but I've never seen his dad, no.
His dad, Shane, was a baseball player at Oklahoma State back in the day. I think he was a pitcher.
Okay.
Yeah, he's huge, man. And I'm talking jacked, like bodybuilder big.
You know, speaking of former or Oklahoma State adjacent baseball players, the first time I ever saw Matt Holliday in person,
big old boy.
Enormous. He walked into HTO when I was at a remote there, and at the other station that I worked at before I came here.
You got to do a remote at HTO? That's my dream right there.
Really?
I love HTO.
But anyway, that's beyond point. He is ginormous, and I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Did you sit him down and chat?
I did not chat with him. He was in and out of there while I was still in segment.
I would have announced his presence. I'd be like, and folks, walking into HTO now, Matt Holliday, MLB legend, World Series champion.
I will tell you, there was one time, do you remember this name? There was one time I was covering the HBCU Swingman Classic at MLB All-Star Weekend.
Okay.
And I met former Yankees pitcher Dellin Betances.
Oh, yeah. He's like, what, 6'8", 6'9"?
I'm gonna send you a picture right quick of me with Dellin Betances, and he makes me look like a child.
Okay. While we're waiting on that picture, a few texters rightfully pointed out that when we're talking retention, as we have been throughout the show, one of Oklahoma's major priorities should be retaining Tate Sandell for next season. Yes and amen. Although, again, kind of similar to Taylor Wine and the Bowen brothers, I'm not sure that's one you really have to worry about. Like, Tate Sandell really, really enjoys being a Sooner.
So you don't think he's going to hop to the league?
If he wanted to, I actually think he would get drafted. There's only a kicker or two that gets drafted every single year. But if you're going to draft a kicker at the collegiate level right now, you're going to draft Tate Sandell. Could he jump to the league? Absolutely. I probably need to gauge on the OUN, and I will, how much of a concern there is as to whether Tate Sandell will jump to the league. But very rarely do you see kickers forego eligibility to enter the draft, even if they're good enough. There are exceptions. Cam Little was an early draft entrant. You remember Roberto Aguayo?
Yeah, from Florida State.
He was, I kid you not, a second-round
draft pick. Yes, he was a second-round pick. And was awful in the NFL.
By my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was an alien at the collegiate level and could not make a kick to save his life once he got to the NFL. And that was when my football team was wandering the wilderness, as it were. It was not a very well-run organization.
No.
They drafted Roberto Aguayo in the second round and then released him a year later because he sucked. But everything's fine and dandy in Tampa these days. Nebraska Wesleyan's finest, Jason Light, their GM.
Is that where he went?
Yeah, Nebraska Wesleyan, man. Trust me, you never lose track of Nebraska folk.
Yeah, I would imagine you don't.
It's a small enough state that if anybody hits it big out of the state of Nebraska, you know exactly where they're at any given moment in time. Folks, it has been fun, as it always is here on the show. We look forward to doing it all again tomorrow. Same time, you know that it's going to be the same place, right here on the Ref Sports Radio Network. This has been Locked In. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Keep this in mind, folks. You should not go anywhere. Don't turn your dial. Don't shut off your app. Because Tyler McComas and Travis Davidson are coming up on the other side, and they have 3 hours of OU sports talk ahead on The Rush. So stay here. We'll see you tomorrow.